Hey guys, my name is Shayla. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, I talk about motherhood, I talk about pregnancy. We do things a little natural, hypnobirthing during birth. I recommend different eco-friendly products. There's a lot of that kind of granola stuff that we do here. If you're into that, please subscribe. If you're not new, welcome back. I have a 2-month-old, my sidekick over here. You might see my arm bouncing. I've got a 2-year-old who is in daycare right now, and I need to leave here in like 30 minutes. So here we go. Today I'm going to talk about sleep training my toddler. So I wanted to make this video because a lot of you share similar things where you're breastfeeding to sleep, or you do the floor bed, or you do the things that you're like not supposed to do, and kind of tell you how we transitioned out of this. So if you're interested in working with my sleep consultant, I'll put her information below, and I'll tell you a little bit about her later. Because when you bring your second baby home, you're like, oh my gosh, what is my first going to do? Are they going to be insane? I don't know, and you don't know. So when we brought our second daughter home, she didn't have a ton of behavioral stuff that was an issue, but her sleep just tanked. Like, it would take us an hour and a half to get her to go to sleep, and she was sometimes just sobbing for the full hour and a half as we're like rocking her to sleep and holding her. And I was like, maybe we should hire a sleep consultant. And I thought about hiring a sleep consultant when she was younger, and Seth was like, we're gonna hire someone to teach us how to put her to sleep. And I was like, you're right, this is crazy. It's not crazy. I found her and I still was nervous about it. I was like, I don't want this to be traumatic. I feel like sleep training, even in my mind, was synonymous with cried out. I was like, I don't even want to do it. It just doesn't feel right to me, but I understand why people do it, and I'm not judging you if you do. I fully support every decision that moms make. If you are new to my channel, that is like the core foundation of this, is like, I support everyone. So I worked with Bedrock Sleep. She's out of Minnesota. What I liked about her was that there's an initial 15-minute consult where you're like, so we have a floor bed. She sleeps in her room still. We nurse to sleep for a really long time. I don't want to do cried out, and you kind of like lay out all the things. I'm gonna do a brief pause in this video to talk to you about the sponsor, which is Native deodorant. I've used Native for like over 2 years, since before Leah was born. I tried a bajillion different kinds of deodorant. This was the only one that worked. I actually just did a poll on my Instagram asking assumptions about me, and a lot of you assumed I don't use deodorant. I do. I use Native deodorant. Oh, and I have a sidekick over here who's chatty. And bajillion, I probably mean like 8, but that felt like a lot when I was doing it. I tried a bunch. Specifically, cucumber mint was the one that worked the best for me. And then they also sent me, or I chose, citrus and herbal musk, which is kind of like guy smelling, and then lavender rose, which you can assume what that one smells like. Just came out with a new plastic-free design. Pro tip when you're using this, push it up and then squeeze as you're applying, because I'm a pro deodorant user of the plastic-free packaging. If you're interested, these 3 normally cost you $39. With the link on the screen, it will be $26, which is 33% off. Thank you, Native, for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to the sleep. Before we even started sleep training, she slept on her floor bed. When I was very pregnant, my belly button was very sensitive. So I'd be laying with her and she would move a certain way and hit my belly button, and I was like, so I started laying on the floor, lay with her the whole time until she fell asleep, and then I would get up and go. Then once we started sleep training, she told me, you can't co-sleep anymore, because the whole thing is that you are their prop to fall asleep. So I had to know that I was giving up co-sleeping, which was really hard for me, honestly. I think that was the hardest part. But I also had this infant that I was trying to like protect in our bed so that she didn't get kicked or whatever by the toddler. And I know some people do it and do it well. I just wasn't. Before we started sleep training, because she's like, once we start, we just want to like go with it, and if she gets sick, you kind of don't want to keep up with the sleep training. So she got sick, so we paused on starting. Seth pretty much slept with her in her bed all night, which then caused her not to get up and go to our bed in the middle of the night. She like learned to stay in her bed. So we already were kind of taking steps towards what we needed to do. And she was like, okay, with something like that, we're gonna use a gradual method. But essentially you slowly move out of the room. It's gonna take about 10 days. I was like, I don't wanna say I don't believe you, but I don't believe you. So for the first 3 nights, you lay next to the bed and you comfort them to sleep, but they have to stay in their bed. The second 3 nights, you go in a chair in the middle of the room and they have to stay in their bed, but you get to stay there until they fall asleep. Third 3 nights, you're just right outside the door, and then the 10th night, you put them down and you leave. You pick a phrase, and whenever they get out of bed, you say that phrase and you put them back in their bed as like a reset. Over and over and over. No anger, only compassion. I was like, there's no way that by night 10, I'm just gonna lay my kid down and they're gonna fall asleep. It was tough. When we first started, we probably reset her 20 to 30 times, saying our phrase over and over, putting her back in her bed. And then she would get used to it. So the next 2 nights were a little bit easier. Then we moved further, and then she was like, what is going on? She was mad and crying and upset. And you can go comfort her, there, but you're not supposed to be there to comfort her to sleep. You're there so that she feels like you're present and that she feels safe. And again, then once we moved outside of the room, I probably reset her so many times. And we like actually stuck with the routine, because sometimes we'd be like, okay, we're going up tonight, night, and like never gave her a heads up. Like it was just like abrupt. So we had to make sure that we did a very strict schedule. So she tells me all of this in that initial 15-minute free call, and I was like, Seth, we don't need to pay her to do it. We have the information, we don't need her. And he's like, no, Shayla, we're just gonna do it. And I'm really glad that we did, because things would come up, like she would ask for water over and over and over, and I was like, what am I supposed to do? Like obviously she needs water. Can I give her a water in her bed? Do I need to keep her in her room or keep her in her bed? Like there were these questions that I wasn't really sure what to do on, and it was just nice to have this resource that I could just message and she would be like, oh, this is what you should do. And she works with a pack of like 50 other sleep consultants, and so she asks them what they think. And I've already talked to her about Esme. Pretty much there's not a lot I can do with her yet. Can't really do too much with them until they're like 4 months old. But even then I was like, look, I'm co-sleeping, but like what do you have for naps? Honestly, still, I put her to sleep and I walked downstairs, and we've kind of fallen off the train because we just got married. And so she like skipped a nap and went to bed really late, and it's just been a mess. And so now she's kind of like regressing. And so now I'm like, well, what do I do now? Do I restart from the beginning? So I'm messaging her like, where do I start if I'm gonna like retrain? Once you get them to day 10 and they're doing that and like putting themselves to sleep, you need to keep doing and being consistent. Don't skip anything. If you read 2 books and this time you're skipping the books because it's late, don't do that. Stick to the plan, because they figure it out. And so another part is that there was a ton of changes. We had a new baby in the house. She was about to start full-time daycare, meaning 3 days a week, all day instead of just half days. And we wanted to start sleep training her. So like, what are we supposed to do? Should we just, let's wait. The sleep consultant was like, then it's just like her world just keeps changing over and over and over and over. Doing one big change and just being like, this is the new norm, I think will be easier. And that's what we did. And I'm glad that we did. So daycare, her naps were at like noon, and daycare's naps were going to be 12:45 to 2:45. I was like, that's so late. So that again, I talked to her and I was like, what are we supposed to do? And so she's like, there's kind of a window that you can go in. So just kind of start moving it a little bit later. So now she's on that daycare nap. We have her on a schedule. So she naps at this time, she goes to sleep at this time, and we do the routine. And still, when she lays down and I'm watching her on the monitor and she's just like twirling her hair, like patting her baby, because I gave her a baby, which she never had before. She really liked that. And she'll just kind of like look at the camera or sing to herself. And sometimes she says mommy, but then she just says it once and like that's it. And it's just, I still can't believe that she does it. I can't believe that she does it. It's just incredible. And so it's made the transition of this like so much easier. It'll be different when she needs to be on a schedule and she's not just like napping anywhere. But the fact that I can just go upstairs, we read some books, I like snuggle her and sing her songs and like have a little bonding moment, and then I put her down and I say, I'll see you in the morning. If you're considering doing sleep training, please do it, because we got our nights back. And I know that these are what all the reviews say. They're like, oh, I got my nights back. Like, truly, like we were spending an hour and a half putting her to sleep, crying, like trading back and forth, and then we just put her down, and then we would come downstairs and hang out with each other. And it was just so nice to have that time. Like I said, if you're interested in working with who I worked with, she has the free 15 minutes where you can kind of see if you guys are a fit for both of you. Then she has like a 45-minute call that's like $100. You can talk to her and ask her all the questions that you want, and if that's all you want, then great, then you take that information, you go do it. Or maybe you start with that information and you're like, nope, I need the coaching. If you're within 30 days, she'll put that $100 towards coaching. It's great. And then I have somebody else that was in the exact same situation. They just brought home a newborn. Their kid was a little bit younger than Aaliyah, and they had a couple different things, but on day 10 she's like, I literally cannot believe this. I can't believe that they're doing it. And I was like, stick to it, don't break the routine. I hope this was interesting. I know that a lot of you do kind of the same things as us, and if you're having trouble with sleep, before Esme, I mean, it took a really long time, but I didn't mind lying with her. I didn't mind sitting with her until she fell asleep. But once I had her, I couldn't do it. I couldn't figure out how to manage that time. So it's like something has to change, and I want it to be in like a calm and cool way. And there were a couple of times where she was really upset. With this plan, I was able to go up there and like calm her down. It wasn't just like, well, she's just gonna cry now until she figures it out. No, I could go up there, calm her down, help her like feel safe, and then let her fall asleep on her own. You definitely have to be ready to do this, because even in the middle of this, I was like, this is not it. This is not it. She cried a little bit, and I just feel bad about it, and I don't think this is right. And I messaged Stephanie and I was like, tell me something that'll make me feel better, because I don't love this. And she was like, you need to teach your kids boundaries. They thrive on boundaries. Ugh. So then I thought, well, if Aaliyah was continually getting up on the counter, I would take her off the counter and say, you can't do that. And I would take her and reset her over and over and over until she learned that she can't climb up on the counter. And she might cry and not like it and be upset about it. And I would be there to comfort her and explain why she just can't be on the counter. It's how I felt about this. Like, she would get out of bed and I would reset her with compassion, like, hey, it's time to go to night, until she got it and she understood that that's what she was supposed to be doing. It's magic. It's amazing. And I'm so glad we did it. Okay, that's all. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Mwah. Bye.